Imagine a political debate. Two candidates clash over a critical policy. Instead of addressing the issue, one candidate attacks the other's character. He brings up past mistakes, irrelevant personal details, and casts doubt on their integrity. The crowd roars, swayed by the attack. This, my friends, is a classic example of a logical fallacy in action. These deceptive arguments masquerade as logical reasoning, but they are, in fact, intellectually dishonest tactics designed to manipulate and mislead. In today's world, where information spreads like wildfire, it's more crucial than ever to understand how these fallacies operate. They are the hidden machinery behind much of the propaganda we encounter in the media. The media, with its vast reach, often uses these fallacies to shape public opinion. Whether it's political campaigns, advertising, or even news reporting, the goal is often to persuade, not necessarily to inform. This is where our critical thinking comes in. We need to be able to see through the smoke and mirrors. We need to be able to identify these fallacies and understand their impact. Logical fallacies are flaws in reasoning that render an argument invalid. They often appear convincing on the surface, but a closer look reveals their deceptive nature. There are many types of fallacies, each with its own unique way of twisting logic. One common example is the straw man fallacy. This involves misrepresenting an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. Imagine a debate about climate change. Instead of addressing the scientific evidence, someone might say, "Those environmentalists want us all to live in caves." Now, this is a gross distortion of the actual argument, designed to elicit a negative reaction. Another frequent offender is the appeal to emotion fallacy. And this tactic bypasses logic altogether and aims to manipulate emotions like fear, anger, or pity to sway an audience. Think of a commercial for a home security system that shows a terrified family being robbed. It preys on our fears to convince us to buy their product without presenting any real evidence of its effectiveness. Understanding these various fallacies empowers us to recognize them when they are being used against us. It's like having a secret decoder ring for the language of propaganda. Perhaps the most pervasive and insidious fallacy is the ad hominem, Latin for to the person. This fallacy involves attacking the character, motives, or other attributes of the person making the argument, instead of addressing the argument itself. Think back to the political debate from our introduction. The candidate attacking his opponent's character is engaging in a classic ad hominem attack. He's trying to discredit his opponent in the eyes of the audience, hoping they'll dismiss his policies without even considering their merit. The ad hominem is particularly effective because it taps into our natural tendency to judge others. We are quick to form opinions about people based on limited information. This makes us vulnerable to this type of manipulation. The danger of the ad hominem is that it poisons the well of discourse. It shifts the focus from the actual issue to personal attacks, creating a climate of hostility and distrust. This makes it difficult to have a productive conversation or reach a meaningful conclusion.
Section 4. Real-world ramifications. Spotting fallacies in action. Logical fallacies are not just abstract concepts confined to textbooks. They are pervasive in our daily lives, especially in the media. From news headlines to social media posts, we are bombarded with information that often employs these deceptive tactics. Take, for instance, the debate around car accidents. Some groups might use fallacies like the false cause, claiming that certain car models are inherently dangerous without proper evidence, or the hasty generalization fallacy, using isolated incidents to generalize about all drivers of a particular car brand. These tactics can mislead people, leading them to make decisions that could have serious safety consequences. Another area where fallacies run rampant is political discourse. During elections, it's common to see candidates use the straw man fallacy to misrepresent their opponents' positions, or the bandwagon fallacy, claiming their popularity as evidence of their correctness. This creates a distorted picture of reality and makes it difficult for voters to make informed decisions. Recognizing these fallacies in the wild is essential for navigating the information landscape. By understanding the techniques used to manipulate us, we can become more discerning consumers of information.
Section 5. Fighting fire with logic. Practical strategies for counter-argument. So how do we combat the insidious influence of logical fallacies? The first step is awareness. By understanding the different types of fallacies and how they operate, we are better equipped to identify them in real-world situations. The next step is to engage in critical thinking. This means questioning the information we encounter, looking for evidence to support claims, and identifying any flaws in reasoning. It's about being actively involved in the process of information consumption, rather than passively accepting everything we see and hear. When confronted with a fallacy, it's important to address it directly. Point out the flaw in reasoning and explain why it invalidates the argument. However, it's crucial to do so calmly and respectfully. Engaging in personal attacks or resorting to fallacies ourselves will only escalate the situation and derail the conversation. And by arming ourselves with knowledge and critical thinking skills, we can become more resilient to manipulation. We can engage in more productive conversations, make more informed decisions, and contribute to a more rational and truthful public discourse. Remember, the fight against misinformation starts with each of us.